They thought she was nothing. Just a tired woman drinking cold coffee. Nobody looked twice. Then weapons failed on the fighter jet. Panic spread fast. She grabbed the radio calmly. The F-22 pilot shouted, "Call sign Viper. You're alive." Everyone stared. The dead hero was among them. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The coffee was cold. Sarah Chin didn't care. She'd learned to drink worse during her years in the cockpit. Black, bitter, 3 hours old. It kept her awake. That's all that mattered. Seat 12A. Window. Always window. Not for the view. For visibility. Old habits die hard. The airport had been chaos. Security lines stretching forever. Delayed flights. Crying children. Sarah had moved through it all like a ghost. Invisible. Unremarkable. Just another passenger in worn jeans and a faded jacket. Nobody looked twice at her. Nobody recognized the woman who used to command the skies. That was exactly how she wanted it. "Ma'am, would you mind switching seats?" The man next to her smiled. Too white. Too practiced. Expensive suit. Gold watch. The kind of person who thought money solved everything. "I have a presentation. Really need the space." Sarah didn't look up from her phone. "No. Come on. I'll make it worth your while. $50. "No." His smile cracked. 100? Sarah finally looked at him. Her eyes were cold. Empty. The eyes of someone who'd seen too much and felt too little. "I said no." He leaned back. Offended. "You know what? Forget it." Rude. Sarah returned to her phone. She'd been called worse. By enemies who wanted her dead. By allies who didn't understand her methods. By herself every single night for the past 5 years. The flight attendant appeared. Young. Pretty. Name tag read Jessica. Smile too bright for 6 a.m. "Everything okay here? Can I help with anything?" "We're fine," the businessman said quickly. Still annoyed. Jessica looked at Sarah. "Ma'am. Can I get you anything? Fresh coffee?" "I'm good." "You sure? That cup looks pretty old." Sarah lifted it slightly. "It's fine. Thank you." Jessica hesitated. Something in Sarah's tone. Something that said this conversation was over. She moved on down the aisle. Sarah kept scrolling. News articles about military developments. Aviation forums discussing new fighter technology. Anything to stop thinking about why she was on this plane. Why she was going back to Virginia. Why she'd agreed to attend the ceremony after 5 years of staying away. The ceremony. Memorial dedication. For pilots lost in training accidents. Tom Ross would be honored. Finally. Properly. Sarah's hand tightened on the phone. Tom. Her wingman. Her best friend. The man who died while she was supposed to be watching his back. 5 years ago. 5 years since the accident that ended everything. 5 years since they grounded call sign Viper. The intercom crackled. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Anderson speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude of 37,000 feet. Weather looks clear all the way to Reagan National. Should be a smooth flight. Sit back, relax, and we'll have you on the ground in about 2 hours." Standard announcement. Professional. Calm. But Sarah heard something else. A hesitation. Barely noticeable. A tiny tremor under the professional veneer. Her body registered it before her mind processed it. Years of training. Thousands of hours in hostile airspace. Learning to read voices. To hear fear hidden behind calm words. Captain Anderson was nervous about something. Sarah sat up straighter. Set down her coffee. Pressed her hand flat against the window. Felt the vibration. Aircraft engines. Steady. Normal. No mechanical issues. So why was the captain nervous? Her eyes scanned the horizon through the small window. Clear skies. Normal cloud formations. Beautiful morning light painting everything gold. Then she saw them. Two gray shapes cutting through the air. Fast. Precise. Military. F-22 Raptors. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Fighter jets. The most advanced air superiority fighters in the world. Cutting through civilian airspace. Flying parallel to a commercial aircraft. That didn't happen. Not unless something was very, very wrong. The businessman leaned over her shoulder. Hey, look at that. Military planes. That's pretty cool. Wonder what they're doing out here. Sarah's eyes tracked the lead aircraft. Not looking at the plane itself. Looking at how it moved. The pilot's style. The throttle adjustments. The slight overcorrection on the banking turns. The way the aircraft drifted just a fraction to the left under stress. She knew that style. Lieutenant Jake Morrison. Call sign Falcon. 26 years old. Talented. Skilled. One of her former students. The last person she'd trained before everything fell apart. The last person she'd spoken to before they grounded her. Sarah's heart started beating faster. This wasn't coincidence. F-22s didn't escort civilian aircraft for training exercises. They didn't fly this close unless there was an active threat. Something was wrong. The intercom crackled again. Static this time. More than usual. Folks, this is Captain Anderson again. Slight change of plans. Air traffic control has asked us to adjust our heading. Nothing to worry about. Just routine traffic management. We'll still arrive on time. He was lying. Sarah could hear it. The stress in his voice. The way he rushed through the words. The forced casualness. Captain Anderson was terrified. Around her, passengers shifted nervously. Some pulled out phones. Others whispered to each other. The general anxiety level in the cabin rose like a tide. Sarah unbuckled her seatbelt. Slowly. Calmly. Like she was just going to the bathroom. Where are you going? The businessman asked. Still irritated from earlier. Sarah didn't answer. She stood up. Moved into the aisle. Walked forward. Every instinct she had was screaming. Fighter escort. Nervous captain. Course change. This wasn't routine. This was an emergency. And nobody on this plane knew it yet except her. Jessica intercepted her near the galley. Still smiling. Still professional. But her eyes were worried. Ma'am, I need you to return to your seat. The seatbelt sign is on. I need to talk to the captain. Jessica's smile flickered. I'm sorry, that's not possible. FAA regulations don't allow passengers in the cockpit during flight. Those jets outside. Sarah kept her voice low. Calm. They're not routine. I'm sure it's just. I'm sure it's not. Sarah stepped closer. I know fighter protocol. I know what an emergency escort looks like. I know the difference between training exercises and active threats. Something is wrong and your captain knows it. Jessica's smile disappeared completely. Ma'am, I really can't. The radio crackled. Loud. cutting through the cabin. Then a voice. Young. Panicked. Breaking with fear. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Falcon 1, I have a weapons system malfunction. Missiles are armed. Safety protocols are failing. I can't disarm them. Repeat, weapons hot, I cannot disarm. The entire cabin went silent. Every conversation stopped mid-sentence. Every phone lowered. Every face turned upward toward the speakers. Fear spread through the aircraft like electricity. A woman 3 rows back grabbed her husband's arm. What does that mean? What's happening? A child started crying. The businessman from Sarah's row stood up. Are those jets going to shoot us down? Is that what's happening? Panic. Rising fast. Sarah grabbed Jessica's arm. Firm. Controlled. Get me into that cockpit right now. Or in about 90 seconds, those missiles fire automatically and everyone on this plane dies. Jessica's face went white as paper. How do you know that? Because I used to fly those jets. I know the malfunction he's describing. I know exactly what's about to happen. And I know how to stop it. Sarah's voice dropped. Absolute. Commanding. But I need to be in that cockpit. Now. Jessica's hands were shaking. But she nodded. Turned. Ran toward the cockpit. Sarah followed. Behind them, the cabin was erupting. Passengers shouting. Flight attendants trying to maintain calm while their own voices shook. Children crying. Adults praying. Jessica pounded on the cockpit door. Captain. Captain, you need to open the door. What? Jessica, not now, we're dealing with. There's a passenger. She says she can help. She says she knows about the weapons malfunction. Silence. Then the lock clicked. The door opened. Captain Robert Anderson spun around in his seat. Late 50s. Gray hair. Weathered face that had seen thousands of flights. Right now, that face was covered in sweat. His hands gripped the controls so tight his knuckles were white. Who the hell are you? Sarah moved past him. No hesitation. Took the jump seat behind the pilots. Strapped herself in. Her eyes swept across the instruments in less than 3 seconds. Altitude, 37,000 feet. Heading, northeast. Speed, 480 knots. All normal. Except for the 2 F-22 Raptors flying 50 feet off their wing. I asked you a question, Anderson shouted. Who are you and what are you doing in my cockpit? Someone who shouldn't be here. Sarah reached for the radio headset. But I am anyway, so let's deal with what's in front of us. Lady, this is my aircraft. Those are military pilots out there. This is way above. Sarah's voice cut through his panic like a knife. Cold. Absolute. The voice of someone who'd commanded combat operations in hostile territory. That pilot on the radio is carrying 6 live missiles. His weapons system is malfunctioning. The computer thinks it's under attack. In approximately 60 seconds, those missiles will auto-fire at whatever target the system has locked. Right now, that target is probably this aircraft. So you have 2 choices, Captain. Let me help or start explaining to 200 families why their loved ones died because you were too proud to accept assistance from a passenger. Anderson stared at her. His co-pilot, David Park, younger, 30s, was frozen at his station. Staring at the radio panel like it had just announced the end of the world. David spoke first. His voice was quiet. Scared. Captain, maybe we should let her try. Anderson looked at his co-pilot. Looked back at Sarah. Looked at the F-22s outside his window. Something in Sarah's eyes stopped his protests. An absolute certainty. An unshakable calm in the face of disaster. He'd seen that look before. In combat pilots. In people who'd stared death in the face and refused to blink. Fine. His voice was tight. But if you make this worse. I won't. Sarah slipped the headset over her ears. Static filled her head. Sharp. Familiar. The sound of military communications. The sound of pilots in crisis. She pressed transmit. Falcon 1, Falcon 2. This is Viper. Do you copy? 5 seconds of silence. Then a voice. Confused. Disbelieving. Jake Morrison. Her former student. Say again. Who is this? Viper is grounded. This is some kind of. It's me, Jake. Sarah kept her voice steady. Professional. It's really me. I'm aboard the civilian aircraft at your 9 o'clock. I need you to listen very carefully. Another voice cut in. Female. Controlled but strained. Lieutenant Maria Santos. Call sign Falcon 2. Jake's wingman. Viper. You're supposed to be, you've been out of service for 5 years. How are you? Long story. Right now, I need you both to focus. Jake, what's your exact weapon status? Jake's voice cracked. Missiles are armed. All 6. Safety protocols are offline. The computer is showing a target lock. I can't override it. I can't shut it down. The system won't respond. It's like the computer has a mind of its own. Sarah closed her eyes. She could see the cockpit in her mind. Every switch. Every display. Every emergency protocol. She'd flown F-22s for 8 years. She'd trained dozens of pilots. She'd written half the emergency procedures they used. And she knew this malfunction. Electrical failure in the weapons control system. The computer loses connection to the safety protocols. Defaults to combat mode. Auto-target anything within range. Auto-fire in 3 minutes unless manually overridden. But the manual override was tricky. A specific sequence. Exact timing. If you did it wrong, the missiles fired immediately. She'd seen it happen once. In training. The pilot had panicked. Entered the wrong code. Fired a missile at a practice drone. Jake was about to make the same mistake. Except his missiles would hit a passenger aircraft carrying 200 people. Jake, listen to me very carefully. I know what's wrong. I know how to fix it. But you need to do exactly what I say. No improvising. No second guessing. Just follow my instructions. Can you do that? Silence. Then Jake's voice. Quieter. Younger. The voice of the student she trained 4 years ago. Yes, ma'am. I can do that. Good. First, I need you to stay calm. I know that sounds impossible right now. But panic burns oxygen faster. Makes you think slower. Makes mistakes more likely. So breathe. Deep and slow. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. She waited. Listening to him breathe. After 10 seconds, his voice came back. Steadier. Okay. I'm breathing. I'm calm. Good. Now, I need you to access your secondary weapons panel. Lower left console. Below the primary targeting display. I see it. There's a manual override switch. It's under a red safety cover. Flip that cover open. Pause. Opening it now. Under that switch, there's a numeric keypad. Small. Easy to miss if you're not looking for it. You see it? Yes. I see it. You're going to enter a code. This code disables the auto-fire sequence. It won't safe your missiles, but it will stop them from firing automatically. You'll have manual control again. What's the code? Sarah recited it from memory. 5, 7, 2, 9, 4. She heard him typing. Done. The panel is blinking yellow. Perfect. That's the standby mode. Autofire is disabled. But your missiles are still armed and hot. We need to safe them manually before you can land. Maria's voice cut in. Sharp. Analytical. Viper, how do you know all this? This is classified protocol. Updated 6 months ago. I helped write the update. After I was grounded, they asked me to consult on safety protocols. I designed this exact override sequence. Sarah kept her eyes on the instruments. Jake, next step. Same panel. There's a yellow button marked Safety Override. You need to press and hold it for exactly 5 seconds. Not 4. Not 6. Exactly 5. Why exactly 5? Because 4 seconds doesn't complete the circuit. 6 seconds triggers a safety lockout that requires a full system reboot. 5 seconds is the sweet spot. Now press and hold. She counted in her head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's blinking red now. Good. That means it's in manual safety mode. Your missiles won't fire without deliberate action. Now, left console. Main weapons display. You should see a status screen. Tell me what it says. Pause. Status, manual override active. Weapons, armed. Safety, engaged. Sarah exhaled. Long slow. Relief flooding through her. Perfect. Your missiles are safe. They won't fire. But you need to get on the ground immediately and let maintenance fix the electrical system before you fly again. Nearest airfield is Andrews. 20 minutes out. Then you fly for 20 minutes. Steady. No sudden movements. No high-G maneuvers. Those missiles are safe but sensitive. Treat them like unstable explosives. Copy that. 20 minutes. Steady flight. Jake's voice was stronger now. Confident. Viper, I don't know how to, thank you. You just saved 200 lives. You saved them, Jake. You stayed calm. Followed instructions. That's what good pilots do. Maria spoke again. Viper, how are you on a civilian aircraft? You've been grounded for 5 years. Everyone said you'd never fly again. That you'd never even touch a military aircraft. They were right. I don't fly anymore. I just ride in planes. Sarah's voice was flat. Empty. Sometimes I save them. Anderson was staring at her. His mouth slightly open. Shock written across his face. David Park had tears in his eyes. Jake's voice came through the headset again. Quieter. Personal. Viper, I don't understand. After the accident, after Captain Ross died, you just vanished. We never saw you again. We thought you blamed us. Sarah's hands tightened on the armrests. I never blamed you, Jake. I blamed myself. The investigation cleared you. Equipment failure. Nothing you could have done differently. The investigation was wrong. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Tom died on my watch. That's all that matters. Silence filled the headset. Then Maria. Soft. Sad. It wasn't your fault, Viper. We all know that. Everyone who flew with you knows that. Knowing something and believing it are different things. Sarah closed her eyes. Jake, Maria, you need to focus on your landing now. We can talk about the past later. Copy that. Falcon 1 and Falcon 2 breaking off. Heading to Andrews. Thank you, Viper. For everything. The radio went quiet. Sarah removed the headset. Set it down carefully. Captain Anderson was still staring at her. You're a pilot, he said slowly. Like he was solving a puzzle. Fighter pilot. Military. Was. What happened? Why were you grounded? Sarah stood up. Something I can't fix by talking about it. She walked toward the cockpit door. Wait. Anderson's voice stopped her. What's your name? Your real name. Sarah turned back. Looked at him. This civilian captain who just watched her save his aircraft and everyone on it. Sarah Chen. Captain. United States Air Force. Retired. Retired or grounded? Sarah's smile was bitter. Does it matter? She opened the door and stepped back into the cabin. The passengers stared at her. Some with curiosity. Some with fear. Some with gratitude they didn't fully understand. The businessman from her row stood up. Blocking the aisle. What was that about? What's happening? Are we safe? We're safe. The military aircraft had a technical malfunction. It's been resolved. A malfunction? What kind of malfunction involves missiles? The kind that's classified. Sarah moved past him. We'll land in 15 minutes. You'll make your presentation. Everything continues like nothing happened. He stared at her. Confused. Angry. Who are you? Sarah didn't answer. She sat down in her seat. Picked up her cold coffee. Drank it. The businessman kept standing. I asked you a question. Sarah looked up at him. Her eyes were cold. Empty. The eyes of someone who'd seen people die and learned to stop caring. He sat down. Fast. Around them, the cabin slowly returned to normal. Conversations resumed. Children stopped crying. The panic faded like a bad dream. But Sarah knew better. This wasn't over. Fighter jets didn't have mysterious weapons malfunctions. Not the F-22. Not with that specific sequence of failures. Someone had tampered with Jake's aircraft. Someone had deliberately created a situation where armed missiles would lock onto a civilian plane. Someone had tried to kill 200 people. And Sarah had a terrible suspicion she knew why. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out. Unknown number. She stared at it for a moment. Then answered. Yes. A man's voice. Crisp. Official. Military. Captain Chen. This is Colonel Mark Stevens. United States Air Force. I need to speak with you immediately. Sarah's blood went cold. I'm retired, Colonel. I don't take orders anymore. I'm aware of your status. I'm also aware that you just talked down an F-22 Raptor with a weapons malfunction. Using classified protocols. Protocols that aren't available to civilians. I saved 200 lives. You going to arrest me for that? No. I'm going to thank you. And then I'm going to ask you some questions. Stevens paused. In person. There's a car waiting for you at Reagan National. I strongly suggest you use it. And if I don't? Then you miss your chance to find out who really killed Captain Ross. Sarah's breath stopped. Tom. Stevens knew about Tom. What do you know about the accident? Her voice was barely controlled. More than you think. Less than I need. That's why we need to talk. Stevens's voice hardened. Terminal A, black sedan. Government plates. Don't make me send an escort. He hung up. Sarah stared at her phone. Her reflection in the black screen looked older than 35. Tired. Worn down by 5 years of guilt and secrets. The plane began its descent. She felt the altitude change. Felt her ears pop. Felt the world pressing down on her. She'd spent 5 years running from her past. Hiding from who she used to be. Pretending call sign Viper had died along with Tom Ross. But the past had just caught up with her. And now she had a choice. Keep running. Keep hiding. Stay buried in her quiet civilian life. Or face the truth she'd been avoiding for 5 years. Find out what really happened the day Tom died. Find out if the accident was really an accident. The plane touched down. Smooth. Perfect. Captain Anderson was very good at his job. Passengers applauded. Relief. Gratitude. The joy of surviving something they didn't fully understand. Sarah didn't applaud. She grabbed her bag. Stood up. Walked off the plane. In Terminal A, exactly where Stevens said, a man in a dark suit held a sign. Captain Chen. Sarah walked toward him. Each step felt like crossing a line she could never uncross. The man opened the back door of a black sedan. Colonel Stevens is waiting. Sarah climbed in. The door closed behind her with a sound like a coffin lid. Inside, Colonel Mark Stevens sat waiting. Late 50s. Silver hair cut military short. Hard eyes that had seen too much combat. Too many casualties. Too many lies. Captain Chen. Thank you for coming. You didn't give me much choice. You always have a choice. You chose to be here. That tells me something. What does it tell you? That 5 years of civilian life hasn't killed the pilot in you. That call sign Viper still exists. Buried. Hidden. But alive. Sarah looked out the tinted window. Where are we going? Somewhere we can talk without being monitored. Stevens pulled out a tablet. First, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. By looking at it, you're agreeing to a non-disclosure agreement. You speak about this to anyone, you go to prison. Understand? I'm retired. Your classifications don't apply to me. They do if you want answers about Captain Thomas Ross. Sarah turned to face him. Her heart was pounding. You have new information about Tom. Yes. Show me. Stevens handed her the tablet. On screen, photographs. Technical diagrams. Maintenance logs. Investigation reports. Sarah's hand started shaking. This is Tom's aircraft. From the accident. Yes. We've been conducting a new investigation. New technology. New forensic techniques. New evidence. Stevens pointed to a specific section of the diagram. Look at the fuel system. Main feed line. Sarah zoomed in. Her training kicked in automatically. Reading the technical details. Understanding the failure points. Her eyes found the damage. Then stopped. A cut. Clean. Precise. Straight line across the fuel feed. Not a stress fracture. Not a manufacturing defect. Not wear and tear. A deliberate cut. Someone had sabotaged Tom's aircraft. Tom was murdered, Sarah whispered. Yes. And the investigation said equipment failure. Natural causes. Nobody's fault. The initial investigation was incomplete. Stevens took the tablet back. Deliberately incomplete. Someone covered it up. Yes. Who? Stevens swiped to another file. 3 weeks before the accident, you and Captain Ross submitted a confidential report about irregularities in the fighter program. Equipment going missing. Unauthorized modifications. Someone was stealing military technology and selling it. Sarah remembered. Late-night meetings. Tom's growing paranoia. His insistence they had to be careful. That they were dealing with something bigger than they understood. We reported it through proper channels, Sarah said. To our commanding officer. General Marcus Harrison. Yes. Stevens's voice was cold. And 2 weeks after you filed that report, Captain Ross was dead. You were grounded. The investigation was closed. The stolen technology disappeared. And General Harrison retired with full honors and a very comfortable pension. Sarah felt ice forming in her stomach. You think Harrison killed Tom? I think Harrison protected whoever killed Tom. And I think that person is still active. Still stealing. Still selling military technology to foreign powers. Still killing anyone who gets too close to the truth. The car turned into an underground parking garage. Descended 3 levels. Stopped in a dark corner away from cameras and witnesses. Stevens opened his door. Come on. We have a lot to discuss. They walked to a service elevator. Down 2 more levels. Through a corridor that looked like it had been forgotten by the world. Stevens stopped at an unmarked door. Entered a code. The lock clicked open. Inside was a room that looked like a war room. Computers. Monitors. Whiteboards covered in names and connections drawn in red marker. Maps with pins marking locations. A woman stood at one of the computers. Late 30s. Short dark hair. Sharp intelligent eyes behind glasses. Captain Chen, this is Agent Lisa Park. Defense Intelligence Agency. Lisa turned. Extended her hand. I've heard a lot about you, Captain. Call sign Viper. Legend in the fighter community. Sarah shook her hand. Nothing good, I assume. On the contrary. 200 combat missions. 0 losses. Tactical innovator. Instructor to half the current pilot corps. Youngest captain in your squadron. Lisa paused. Until the accident that killed Captain Ross and ended your career. Until I got my wingman killed, Sarah corrected. Until someone murdered your wingman and made it look like your fault. Lisa's voice was sharp. Precise. There's a difference, Captain. Sarah walked to the whiteboard. Names. Dates. Connections. What is this? Stevens answered. 5 years of investigation. Every person connected to the stolen technology. Every suspicious death or accident. Every covered-up incident. Every piece of evidence that doesn't fit the official story. Sarah scanned the board. Dozens of names. Some she recognized. Some she didn't. Then her eyes stopped on one name. Lieutenant Jake Morrison. The pilot she just saved. Jake. Sarah turned to Stevens. You think Jake is involved in this? No. I think Jake is in danger. The weapon's malfunction today wasn't random. It was a message. A message to who? To you. Lisa stepped forward. Pulled up a file on her computer. Someone knew you'd be on that flight. Someone knew you'd be the only person who could solve that specific malfunction. Someone wanted to see if call sign Viper still had the skills. Still had the instinct. Still had the courage. Sarah's mind was racing. That's insane. Is it? Lisa pulled up another file. Flight manifests. Passenger lists. You booked this flight 3 days ago. 2 days ago, Lieutenant Morrison's squadron was suddenly reassigned to patrol this exact route. 1 day ago, his aircraft underwent an unauthorized maintenance check. This morning, his weapons system malfunctioned in a way that required your specific knowledge to fix. Sarah stared at the timeline. The connections. Someone is testing you, Stevens said. And I think they're about to make you an offer. Sarah's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She looked at Stevens. He nodded. She answered. Put it on speaker. Yes. The voice that came through was distorted. Electronic. Unidentifiable. Hello, Viper. You performed admirably today. Saved all those lives. Very impressive. Who is this? Someone who's been watching you for a very long time. Someone who knows what you're capable of. Someone who wants to offer you an opportunity. I'm not interested. Not even if it involves finding out who really killed Captain Ross. Who sabotaged his aircraft? Who covered it up? Who's been stealing military secrets for a decade? Sarah's breath caught. What do you know about Tom? Everything. I know he discovered the truth. I know he tried to report it. I know he was murdered for it. I know you've spent 5 years living with guilt that was never yours to carry. The voice paused. I can give you the truth, Captain Chen. But you have to earn it. What do you want? There's a facility. 40 miles outside Washington. Old military storage. It contains files. Evidence. Names. Everything you need to prove what really happened to Captain Ross. I'll give you the location. You retrieve the files. Then we'll discuss the next steps. Why would you help me? Because we have a common enemy. General Harrison has been stealing and selling military technology for years. Getting rich while soldiers die. I want him stopped. You want justice for your wingman. We can help each other. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow, another malfunction. Another pilot in danger. Maybe they won't have call sign Viper to save them. Maybe 200 people die. Maybe more. The voice hardened. This won't stop until Harrison is exposed. You can help me do that. Or you can watch more people die while you hide in civilian life. Sarah looked at Stevens and Lisa. They were recording this. Tracking it. Give me the location, Sarah said. The voice rattled off coordinates. GPS numbers. You have 6 hours. Come alone. No military presence. No backup. If I detect any support, the offer disappears. And Harrison wins. The line went dead. Stevens was already typing. We can trace that call. Find the source. Figure out who. It won't work. Sarah sat down. Her hands were shaking. Whoever that is, they're professional. They know how to hide. So what do we do? Lisa asked. I go. I retrieve the files. I find out who killed Tom. Lisa shook her head. It's obviously a trap. This is textbook bait. They dangle exactly what you want and wait for you to walk into an ambush. Probably. But it's also our only lead. Sarah looked at Stevens. You've been investigating for 5 years. You have theories and timelines but no proof. This person is offering proof. At what cost? I don't know yet. But I'm willing to find out. Sarah stood up. I've been running for 5 years, Colonel. Hiding. Pretending call sign Viper died with Tom Ross. Maybe it's time to stop running. Stevens was quiet for a long moment. Then he walked to a cabinet. Unlocked it. Pulled out a case. If you're doing this, you're doing it right. He opened the case. Inside, a sidearm. Tactical gear. Communication equipment. Body armor. I can't accept this. I'm retired. You're not accepting it. You're borrowing it. Temporarily. Stevens handed her an earpiece. We'll be monitoring. You get in trouble, we extract you. The voice said no military presence. The voice doesn't get to make all the rules. Stevens met her eyes. You're still one of ours, Captain. We protect our own. Sarah took the earpiece. Fitted it carefully. Testing. We hear you, Lisa's voice came through. Clear. Loud and clear. Sarah checked the weapon. Loaded. Safety on. Professional grade. One more thing. Stevens handed her a folder. Thick. Official. Your old file. Everything from before the accident. Mission reports. Performance reviews. The original investigation into the stolen technology. Your report about the irregularities. Sarah took it. Didn't open it. Couldn't. Why? Because you need to remember who you were, Captain. Call sign Viper didn't quit. Didn't give up. Didn't run from a fight. Stevens's voice was firm. She's still in there. You just need to let her out. Sarah nodded slowly. Put the folder in her bag. The coordinates point to an old military facility, Lisa said, pulling up a map. Decommissioned about 6 years ago. Officially abandoned. Unofficially, it's been used for off-book storage. Perfect place to hide classified files. Security. Unknown. Satellite imagery shows the exterior is clear. No visible guards. But that doesn't mean the interior is safe. Sarah studied the map. Memorized the layout. Access points. Escape routes. Defensive positions. Old training. Old instincts. Viper was waking up. I'll need transportation. Stevens tossed her a set of keys. Black SUV. Parking level 1. Fully fueled. GPS already programmed with the coordinates. Emergency supplies in the back. Sarah caught the keys. If I don't make it back. You'll make it back. Stevens's voice was absolute. You always do. Sarah walked toward the door. Stopped. Looked back. Tom Ross was my best friend. My wingman. My brother in everything but blood. If there's even a chance this leads to his killer, I have to take it. We know, Lisa said softly. That's why we're letting you go. Sarah stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. She rode up in silence. Thinking about Tom. About the day he died. About the 5 years she'd spent believing it was her fault. What if it wasn't? What if she'd been lied to? What if everything she believed about that day was wrong? The elevator opened. Sarah found the SUV. Climbed in. Her hands on the wheel felt foreign. Like she'd forgotten how to drive. But that wasn't it. She'd forgotten how to be Viper. 5 years of running. 5 years of hiding. 5 years of being nobody. Sarah Chen. Retired. Grounded. Broken. But Viper was never broken. Viper was a weapon. Forged in combat. Tempered by loss. Sharpened by purpose. And today, someone had made a terrible mistake. They'd reminded her who she used to be. Sarah started the engine. The SUV roared to life. She pulled out of the garage. Hit the highway heading north. Behind her, the lights of Washington faded into darkness. Ahead, rural Virginia waited. Empty roads. Dark forests. Secrets buried deep. And somewhere in that darkness, the truth about Captain Thomas Ross. Sarah pressed the accelerator. Viper was going hunting. And she never missed her target. The facility appeared exactly where the coordinates indicated. 2 hours of driving through increasingly empty roads. Past small towns that looked forgotten by time. Through forests that seemed to swallow the moonlight. Sarah killed the headlights a quarter mile out. Parked the SUV behind an abandoned gas station. Hidden from view. She sat in darkness for a moment. Breathing. Preparing. "I'm on site," she said quietly into the earpiece. Stevens's voice crackled back immediately. "We have you on GPS. Thermal imaging shows no heat signatures in the immediate area. But that doesn't mean it's empty." "Understood. Sarah." Stevens's voice was serious. "You don't have to do this. We can send a team. Proper military operation. By the book." The voice said, "Come alone. The voice doesn't control this operation. You do." Sarah looked at the facility through the darkness. Chain-link fence. Rusted gates. 3 buildings that looked like they'd been abandoned for decades. But she could see signs of recent activity. Fresh tire tracks in the dirt. A door that didn't match the decay around it. Someone had been here. Recently. "I'm going in," Sarah said. "If something goes wrong, you extract. But give me a chance first. You have 1 hour. After that, we're coming in whether you like it or not." "Copy that." 1 hour. Sarah grabbed the tactical gear. Strapped on the body armor. Checked her weapon. Spare magazines. Flashlight. Lock picks. Then she stepped out into the cold night air. The fence was easy. Bolt cutters from the gear bag. 3 clean cuts. Quiet entry through the gap. She moved through shadows like water. Silent. Invisible. Years of training taking over. Muscle memory from missions in hostile territory. The main building was 3 stories. Concrete and steel. Windows dark and empty. Sarah approached from the east side. Away from the main entrance. Looking for a secondary access point. She found it. Service door. Rusted but functional. The lock was old. Simple. Sarah had it open in 20 seconds. The door opened with a small creak. She froze. Listened. Nothing. She slipped inside. Darkness. Complete. Total. Sarah activated her night vision goggles. The world turned green and ghostly. Long corridor. Doors on both sides. Dust everywhere. Thick and undisturbed. Except for one set of footprints. Recent. Leading deeper into the building. Sarah followed them. Weapon ready. Every sense alert. The footprints led to a stairwell. Going down. Not up. Of course. Underground. That's where you'd hide secrets. Sarah descended slowly. Testing each step before putting her weight on it. Listening for any sound of danger. At the bottom, another corridor. But this one was different. Clean. No dust. Fresh air circulation. Someone maintained this area. The footprints continued. Leading to a door at the end of the hall. The door was new. Steel. Electronic lock with a keypad. Sarah examined it carefully. Military grade. But modified. Civilian additions. "Lisa," she whispered. "I found something. Electronic lock. Need your help." Lisa's voice came through the earpiece. "Describe the panel." Sarah detailed everything. The model number. The keypad layout. The indicator lights. "Okay, that's a Gentech 4000 series. Standard military issue, but someone's added custom programming. Try code 7429. Sarah entered it carefully. The panel beeped. Red light. Negative. Access denied. Damn. Try 9113. Sarah tried again. Another red light. Still denied. Lisa cursed. Whoever programmed this changed all the default codes. I need more time to crack it. Can you? The panel suddenly flashed green. The lock clicked open. Sarah's hand went to her weapon. I didn't do anything. It just opened. That's not possible, Lisa said. Unless someone opened it remotely. Stevens's voice was sharp. Sarah, get out of there. Now. It's a trap. Maybe. But I'm already here. Sarah pushed the door open. Weapon raised. Ready for anything. Inside was a small room. Concrete walls. One table. One chair. And on the table, a folder. Nothing else. No guards. No traps. No threats. Just a folder. Sarah approached carefully. Eyes scanning every corner. Looking for hidden dangers. Nothing. She reached the table. Opened the folder. Inside, photographs. Documents. Technical specifications. Tom Ross. Mission reports. Aircraft maintenance logs. And something else. A handwritten note. Sarah recognized the handwriting immediately. Her breath stopped. Tom's handwriting. Sarah, if you're reading this, I'm already dead. I knew this was coming. I knew they'd kill me to protect their secret. I'm leaving this evidence for you because you're the only person I trust. The only person who'll finish what I started. General Harrison is stealing fighter technology. Selling it to foreign buyers. Making millions. He's been doing it for years. I found proof. I was going to report him. But he found out. I know he's going to sabotage my aircraft. I know you'll blame yourself. Don't. This isn't your fault. This is Harrison. This is corruption. This is murder. Finish this for me. Expose him. Make him pay. Your wingman always. Tom. Sarah's hands trembled. Tears blurred her vision. Tom knew. He knew he was going to die. He'd left this evidence. This message. For her. 5 years. 5 years she'd blamed herself. 5 years of guilt. And Tom had tried to tell her it wasn't her fault. Sarah. Stevens's voice was urgent. We're picking up movement. Multiple heat signatures approaching your position. You need to leave. Now. Sarah looked up from the note. How many? 6. Armed. Moving fast. Can you identify them? Negative. But they're not friendly. Sarah grabbed the folder. Started moving toward the door. Then stopped. A voice echoed through the concrete hallway. Amplified. Coming from hidden speakers. Hello, Captain Chen. I've been waiting for you. Sarah recognized that voice. Even without the electronic distortion. General Marcus Harrison. You've read Tom's note by now. Touching, wasn't it? He was always so sentimental. So naive. He actually thought leaving evidence would matter. Sarah's grip tightened on her weapon. Where are you, Harrison? Somewhere safe. Watching you on cameras you didn't notice. Enjoying this moment. Harrison's voice was cold. Cruel. You walked right into my trap. Just like Tom did 5 years ago. You killed him. I gave an order. My people executed it. Sabotaged his fuel line. Made it look like equipment failure. Then I made sure the investigation blamed you. Grounded you. Destroyed your career. All very neat. Sarah's anger was rising. Hot. Focused. Why? Why kill him? Why frame me? Because Tom discovered my operation. The technology sales. The offshore accounts. He was going to expose everything. I couldn't allow that. Harrison paused. And you, Captain Chen, you were his partner in that investigation. You were supposed to die with him. But you survived. So I had to destroy you another way. Guilt. Shame. Make you believe you killed your own wingman. You're insane. I'm practical. Tom was a threat. You were a threat. I eliminated both of you. He died. You disappeared. Problem solved. Until today. Yes. Until today. You saved those passengers. Revealed yourself. Became a problem again. Harrison's voice hardened. So I had to test you. See if Viper still existed. The weapon's malfunction was my doing. Remote hack. Simple. I wanted to see if you'd intervene. If you still had the skills. And now. Now you die. Properly this time. No survivors. No witnesses. Just another tragic accident. The lights in the room suddenly went out. Complete darkness. Sarah activated her night vision immediately. Saw the door slam shut. Heard locks engaging. The room you're in is airtight, Harrison said through the speakers. I'm venting the oxygen. You have approximately 8 minutes before you suffocate. My men will retrieve your body. Dispose of the evidence. And once again, this will look like an accident. Retired pilot breaks into abandoned facility. Gets trapped. Tragedy. Sarah moved to the door. Tried the handle. Locked solid. Electronic. No manual override. Stevens, I'm trapped. Sealed room. He's venting the oxygen. Stevens's voice was frantic. We're moving in. Hold on. You won't make it in 8 minutes. Then find another way out. You're Viper. You don't give up. Sarah scanned the room. Concrete walls. Steel door. No windows. No vents visible. But there had to be something. Every room had weaknesses. She examined the walls. Solid. The ceiling. Reinforced. The floor. Sarah knelt down. Ran her hands along the concrete. Felt for irregularities. There. A seam. Hidden under dust. A maintenance access panel. She pulled out her knife. Pried at the edges. The panel lifted. Below, a crawl space. Narrow. Dark. But big enough. Harrison, you made a mistake, Sarah said aloud. Oh. What mistake is that? You assumed I'd panic. That I'd give up. That I'd accept death. Sarah dropped into the crawl space. But I'm call sign Viper. I've survived worse than you. She crawled through darkness. Following the space. Looking for an exit. Behind her, Harrison's voice echoed. Angry now. Find her. She's in the maintenance tunnels. Don't let her escape. Sarah moved faster. The crawl space connected to a ventilation shaft. She climbed up. Kicked out a grate. Emerged in another corridor. This one had windows. Ground level. She ran. Behind her, footsteps. Shouts. Men searching. Sarah reached a window. Smashed it with her elbow. Dove through. Hit the ground outside. Rolled. Came up running. Gunfire erupted. Bullets hitting the ground around her. She zigzagged. Using cover. Trees. Old equipment. Anything. Made it to the fence. Through the gap she'd cut earlier. Into the forest. Behind her, more gunfire. Men pursuing. But Sarah knew forests. Knew darkness. Knew how to disappear. She ran for 10 minutes. Changing direction. Doubling back. Losing her pursuers. Then she heard engines. Vehicles. Coming from multiple directions. Not Harrison's men. Military vehicles. Stevens had sent backup. Sarah emerged from the trees. Hands visible. Weapon holstered. A Humvee stopped in front of her. Stevens jumped out. "You okay?" "I'm alive. That's what matters." Sarah held up the folder. "And I have the evidence. Tom's testimony. Harrison's confession on recording. Everything we need." Stevens smiled. "We got his voice too. Lisa recorded the whole conversation through your earpiece. Harrison confessed to murder. To sabotage. To treason. He's done." "Where is he?" "Still in the facility. We have it surrounded. He can't escape." Sarah looked back at the building. "I want to be there when you arrest him. You've earned that right." They walked back together. Military police were already swarming the facility. Harrison's men were surrendering. Hands up. Weapons down. Sarah found Harrison in what looked like a control room. Surrounded by monitors. Watching his operation collapse in real time. He looked up as she entered. His face was pale. Defeated. "Captain Chen. I underestimated you." "You did. That was your mistake. I should have killed you 5 years ago. Along with Ross." "Yes. You should have." Sarah stepped closer. "But you didn't. And now Tom gets justice. And you get a cell for the rest of your life." Harrison laughed. Bitter. Broken. "You think this ends with me? I have partners. People more powerful than you can imagine. They'll come for you. They'll finish what I started. Let them try." Sarah's voice was ice. "I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not running. I'm call-sign Viper. And I'm done being afraid." Military police moved in. Handcuffed Harrison. Read him his rights. As they led him away, he looked back at Sarah. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. For you, it's over." Harrison disappeared into custody. Stevens approached. "We found the stolen technology. Warehouse full of classified equipment. Fighter components. Weapon systems. Everything." Harrison was running a massive operation. How many buyers? At least 12. Foreign governments. Terrorist organizations. Private military companies. "We're tracking them all down now." Sarah nodded. Exhausted. The adrenaline was fading. The reality settling in. It was over. Really over. Tom's killer was caught. The truth was exposed. Justice was served. "What happens now?" Sarah asked quietly. Stevens pulled out a folder. Official seal. Department of Defense letterhead. "Now you get your life back." Sarah took the folder. Opened it. Inside, reinstatement papers. Full rank restored. All charges dropped. Back pay for 5 years of service. And a promotion. Major Sarah Chen. They're giving me a promotion. You exposed a decade-long conspiracy. Saved 200 lives. Brought down a general who was selling national secrets. You've earned it. Stevens paused. And we want you back. Training command. Teaching the next generation of fighter pilots. Passing on everything you know. Sarah stared at the papers. Her hands shaking. 5 years. 5 years of guilt and hiding. 5 years of believing she was worthless. And now they wanted her back. I don't know if I can, she whispered. Yes, you can. You're Viper. You never quit. You never break. You never stop fighting. Stevens met her eyes. Tom knew that. That's why he left the evidence for you. He knew you'd finish what he started. Sarah looked at Tom's note. Still in the folder. His final message. Finish this for me. She had. She'd done what Tom asked. She'd exposed Harrison. She'd found justice. Now it was time for the next step. Living again. Really living. Not just surviving. Okay, Sarah said. I'm in. I'll come back. Stevens smiled. Welcome home, Major Chen. 3 months later. Sarah stood at Arlington National Cemetery. Section 60. Row 23. Captain Thomas Ross. United States Air Force. Beloved son. Loyal friend. American hero. She knelt at his grave. Placed a hand on the cold stone. Hey, Tom. It's been a while. The wind stirred. Nothing else moved. I did it. I finished what you started. Harrison's in prison. The stolen technology is recovered. The conspiracy is exposed. Everyone knows the truth now. Everyone knows you were a hero. That you died fighting corruption. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I'm sorry it took me 5 years. I'm sorry I believed the lies. I'm sorry I blamed myself. She paused. But I know the truth now. And I'm not running anymore. She pulled out a small box. Opened it. Inside, her aviator wings. The ones she'd worn when she was call sign Viper. They want me back, Tom. Training command. Teaching new pilots. Being Viper again. She placed the wings at the base of the headstone. I wanted you to know. I wanted you to see that I'm not broken anymore. That I'm going to honor your memory by being the best instructor I can be. By making sure no other pilot goes through what we went through. She stood up. Saluted. Rest easy, wingman. Your mission is complete. Behind her, a voice spoke. He'd be proud of you. Sarah turned. Jake Morrison stood there. Out of uniform. Civilian clothes. Jake. What are you doing here? Paying respects. Same as you. He walked forward. Looked at Tom's grave. I never met Captain Ross. But I've heard the stories. About him. About you. About call sign Viper. They're just stories. No. They're not. You saved my life. You saved 200 passengers. You exposed a conspiracy that killed good people. Jake looked at her. You're a hero, Major Chen. Whether you believe it or not. Sarah shook her head. I'm just someone who did what needed to be done. That's what heroes are. People who do what needs to be done when no one else can. Jake extended his hand. I heard you're coming back. Training command. I wanted to say thank you. For everything. Sarah shook his hand. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You gave me my life back. The least I can do is say thank you. They stood together in silence. Two pilots. Two survivors. Two people carrying the weight of those who didn't make it. Are you ready? Jake asked. To come back. To be Viper again. Sarah looked at Tom's grave. At the wings she'd left there. At the memorial to a man who believed in her even when she couldn't believe in herself. Yes, she said quietly. I'm ready. 6 months later. Sarah stood in front of a classroom. 30 young pilots stared back at her. Fresh faces. Eager eyes. Nervous energy. Just like she'd been once. Just like Tom had been. My name is Major Sarah Chen, she said. Call sign Viper. Some of you may have heard stories about me. Some of those stories are true. Most are exaggerated. But here's what you need to know. She walked between the rows of desks. I'm going to teach you to fly. To fight. To survive. And I'm going to push you harder than anyone ever has. Not because I'm cruel. But because your life depends on it. Your wingman's life depends on it. The mission depends on it. She stopped at the front of the room. 5 years ago, I lost my wingman. My best friend. Captain Thomas Ross. He was killed in what looked like an accident. For 5 years, I blamed myself. Carried guilt that wasn't mine. Let it destroy me. She looked at each of them. Don't be me. Don't carry weight that doesn't belong to you. Don't let guilt control your decisions. And most importantly, don't ever give up on yourself or your wingman. A young woman in the front row raised her hand. Lieutenant Amy Martinez. 23. Top of her class. Ma'am, what made you come back? After 5 years, why return? Sarah smiled. Because someone reminded me that Viper doesn't quit. And because I realized I had more to give. More to teach. More to do. Another hand. Lieutenant David Park. 24. Jake Morrison's recommended candidate. Ma'am, is it true you talked down an F-22 with a weapons malfunction using only a radio? Yes. And that you exposed a general who was selling military secrets? Yes. And that you did it all while retired and grounded? Sarah's smile widened. Yes. But those stories miss the point. What's the point, ma'am? The point is that being a pilot isn't about the aircraft you fly or the rank you hold. It's about the decisions you make when everything is falling apart. It's about staying calm when everyone else is panicking. It's about doing what's right even when it costs you everything. She picked up a training manual. That's what I'm going to teach you. Not just how to fly. But how to be the kind of pilot that other pilots trust with their lives. The kind of pilot who makes the hard calls. Who protects their wingman. Who never quits. She opened the manual. Now. Chapter 1. Basic Fighter Maneuvers. Who can tell me the primary purpose of a defensive spiral? Hands shot up. Sarah called on Martinez. The class began. Outside, an F-22 Raptor sat on the tarmac. Freshly painted. New nose art. An eagle. Wings spread. Eyes fierce. Below it, in bold letters, Viper. Sarah's aircraft. Waiting for her. Because call sign Viper was back. And she wasn't going anywhere ever again. 1 year later, Lieutenant Jake Morrison stood in the same classroom where Sarah had taught him. Now he was the instructor. Passing on what Viper had taught him. Lieutenant Amy Martinez was flying combat missions. Top pilot in her squadron. Already being called for advanced training. General Harrison was serving life in prison. No parole. No deals. Just justice. The stolen technology was recovered. The conspiracy dismantled. 12 foreign buyers arrested. The military cleaned up. And Sarah Chen. Major Sarah Chen flew every day. Taught every week. Lived without guilt. Without fear. Without regret. She visited Tom's grave once a month. Told him about her students. About the missions. About life. And every time she flew, every time she pushed the throttle forward and felt the aircraft respond, she remembered. She was call sign Viper. She was a fighter pilot. She was alive. And that was enough.